If you're a woman over 40 and you are struggling with weight loss, maintaining your energy levels, if you're finding it difficult to regulate your mood, you feel like your hormones are out of whack, whether you're in perimenopause or not, chances are you're not wanting to make life harder for yourself. So if you're ready to stop swimming upstream, stick around because this is going to help. I always believe in just being really honest in my approach to nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle. So there's one thing that I can categorically say, and that is alcohol does no favors for women over 40. Forget your moderation, that upper limit of 14 units a week that I know many of us can actually struggle with. But even in moderation, even at levels way under that 14 units, which I might add is a totally arbitrary figure, it's not helping you health-wise. So I'm just recently celebrating 4 years of going alcohol-free, and I can honestly say it is probably the best decision I've ever made. And I feel so much better health-wise. Mentally, I'm somebody who experiences depression. It has really changed things for me. And so many of my clients are trying this and finding that it's changing their lives too. But it might seem quite extreme from the idea of something that's so socially acceptable that we've been led to believe is just part of our culture. So I'm going to just share a really honest health impact of alcohol, not just, on our liver and things that we don't necessarily see as an immediate issue, but I'm going to talk about the day-to-day impact that alcohol can have now, not looking at some future date, which, let's face it, can be really easy to kind of not think about until it happens. But I'm talking about our day-to-day impact of alcohol and how it directly impacts your health goals. So I'm going to break it down into different areas. Before I do that, I think it's really important to say that at this time, marketing is so heavy towards women over 40. The whole it's wine o'clock, let's have some mummy juice, all of that I really struggle with. So if part of you is a bit of a rebel, then that kind of may appeal, wanting to go against the whole idea that us women need wine or gin to socialize. So let's go back to the actual health issues. So first and foremost, alcohol, although it is a sedative, can totally disrupt our sleep patterns. So yes, it might make you sleepy, it might make it easier to fall asleep, but it actually impacts the deeper stages of sleep, which are the really restorative parts. Now, how does that affect us aside from feeling sleepy and impacting our energy like that? Well, sleep massively impacts our stress hormones. So if we're struggling to regulate stress, and over 40, as we're approaching perimenopause, our body does literally struggle to manage those cortisol levels, that stress hormone. So it's going to make things worse in that aspect. When it comes to weight loss, it impacts our hunger and satiety hormones, the ghrelin and the leptin. So if you've ever noticed when you are really sleep deprived, sometimes you just feel that ravenous hunger. That's going to be impacted. It's also going to impact our insulin levels as well as the cortisol, which are, very much involved in fat storage, especially that belly fat. So sleep is a major one, which, so many of us feel like we're struggling with sleep anyway. So alcohol is going to make things so much worse. Even one glass of alcohol in the evening can disrupt our sleep patterns. Secondly, mood and mental health. Obviously, if you're sleep deprived, your mood isn't going to be great, but alcohol can disrupt things in terms of serotonin, which is our feel good hormone. If you are experiencing depression, the doctor will probably say to avoid or limit alcohol. Just avoid it because it really doesn't do anything to impact your mental health. Yes, it can help at the time, And if you are of an ADHD brain, then you might find alcohol helps to regulate your emotions when they sort of go to extremes. You know, if you're really sad, if you're really low, it can help to pick things up. You might feel if you're just a little bit too hyper, it can help to calm you down. The next day, the impact is just, it's not worth it. So that's a major one in terms of mental health and mood, which obviously impacts everything else. Everything is so linked in our bodies. So it's very difficult to look at things in isolation, but I kind of want to go through each of the aspects of our health and body. So next up is gut health. Now, some people do find a direct impact with alcohol. Maybe they get a funny tummy the next day. Regardless of whether you have gut symptoms or not, alcohol completely messes with the microbiome. So the microbiome is like your gut bacteria and all of that environment. And that, we're finding more and more, is crucial for our health. So that will have, you know, the state of the gut microbiome in itself will have an impact on weight management, energy, sleep, mental health, and any kind of inflammation in the body. So you are directly impacting that. So you might be taking probiotics, you might be drinking kefir, you might be having sauerkraut and kimchi, all those wonderful foods, but alcohol is just, you know, it's working against that. So don't let it negate all the good stuff that you're doing. Next up, this is one of the biggest ones, hormones. So if we look at our sex hormones, as we're in perimenopause, as we're approaching it, even if you're not there yet, so many of us struggle to find that balance with estrogen and progesterone. Alcohol totally disrupts estrogen metabolism, and that's really important because it's going to make any perimenopausal symptoms worse. It's going to make any kind of PMS symptoms worse. Anything that's disrupted with hormonal imbalance, it's just going to exacerbate it and make it worse. There's a common theme here, isn't there? So you could be doing a lot of stuff to help balance the hormones. You could have like the cleanest bathroom cabinet ever, you know, going through all the products. Maybe you've taken out things with phthalates. Maybe you are actively trying to avoid BPA in your plastics, etc. Well, alcohol is a massive hormonal disruptor. So again, don't let that undo the good work that you're doing. Another really important thing to consider is that alcohol is classified as a carcinogenic now. So things, estrogen dependent cancers like breast cancer, that can be massively impacted by even moderate amounts of alcohol. So that's a really, you know, that's maybe like one of the top risk factors to consider as a woman over 40. And not just with estrogen and progesterone, testosterone, this isn't just for men to consider. As we've been told, we need to be building muscle in our body. We need to be working out, lifting heavy, doing more weights. Fabulous if you're already doing that. But one of the most important things when we're building muscle and strength is the recovery period. So when we're working out, all our muscle fibers get torn and broken. That sounds heinous, but it's what happens. It's important because the recovery part is when those muscle fibers get repaired and we get, you know, things get built back stronger. Alcohol massively disrupts that whole repair and recovery phase because testosterone is really important there, but it actually lowers testosterone levels. It keeps cortisol high, lowers testosterone. So it's completely wiping out your repair and recovery. So, you know, all the magnesium that you're taking, the hot bath, all the things that you're doing to support that muscle growth, alcohol is working against you. Again, it just makes everything worse in that respect. Next up, we are going to look at our blood sugar balance. So this is a really popular topic. The glucose goddess has become really popular. Love the message that she is sharing. It's one of the most fundamental things that I talk about with clients as a nutritional therapist because it really does underpin so much. So if we're looking at maintaining energy levels and keeping that energy stable throughout the day, we want to keep our blood sugar levels nice and smooth so we can work hard to avoid sugary foods. We can make sure that we go for more complex carbohydrates, brown rice versus white pasta. We could be including protein and healthy fats with our meals to stabilize our blood sugar levels. But alcohol, again, can you guess, is a massive disruptor of that. So it's going to spike our insulin levels. Now that has implications for inflammation in the body, energy, and weight gain, especially for us women over 40, that midsection, that belly fat. The two sort of main hormones involved in that are insulin and cortisol. Now these hormones are good in the measures that they're needed. So if we've got too much cortisol, too much insulin, which alcohol can contribute towards, then we're really going to get that belly fat. So avoiding it is going to massively help your blood sugar. And then there are a lot of myths around alcohol. The red wine, antioxidant, resveratrol. You can get that from so many other sources. To actually get the benefits that you would get from red wine, you'd actually have to drink an amount that would be even more unhealthy, because there's not really a moderation that you could have that would mitigate the negative impacts of alcohol. So simply put, find other sources of that. Some people really like to cling to that, but it's just not worth it. Now, as I said, this is a difficult topic because alcohol is so socially acceptable. It's heavily marketed towards us, but I'm going to share in another video just some really easy ways that you can navigate what might be a completely alien idea to you. When I stopped drinking alcohol, I never intended to go for this long. Just sharing on a very personal level, I was getting my eggs frozen 4 years ago. And during the process, I asked, what do I do about alcohol? They said, well, you could probably have about 3 units a week. And for me, I just thought, I can't do that. That's like, a very generous large glass of wine. And I thought I couldn't stick to that. I admittedly am quite an all or nothing person. I go through phases where I struggle with moderation in some things, and milk chocolate and alcohol are definitely those things. So I thought, well, I'll just stop for 3 months. And I just noticed the benefits so much that I thought, well, I can't really justify going back. I never say never. Maybe there will be a point where I could have a glass at a wedding or Christmas and I'm good with that. But for me, it's just not worth it. My life is so much better and more comfortable without alcohol. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a later video. But the main thing that I want to drive home here is that alcohol does no favors for us over 40, especially if you're working towards health goals of boosting energy, maintaining energy, improving your mood, improving hormonal balance, lessening symptoms of perimenopause, your body composition, trying to avoid that belly fat as part of weight loss as well. So let me know in the comments if you found this helpful, if you think that this is something that you'll consider. Maybe it's something that you're already doing. I would love to hear from you, and hopefully this has given you something to think about. As always, please do like if you found it helpful, do share with a friend, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future content. Whatever you do, take care, and I will see you soon.